Hey guys, it's Mr. Calderon with Queen My Pawn. I'm going to be talking about a tactic today that you definitely should know because every chess player needs to know this in order to actually create an attack. One of the questions I got recently was from one of my followers, SoccerGirl08, and she asks, "Thank you for creating the study on the Greek gift." Yes, so I'm basically creating a study on double bishop sacrifices and on the weapon against the London system. So that way, if you ever see someone play bishop f4 in the opening after they play d4, you know what to do. Just check it out on Lee Chess. Now, she asked, if you have time, can you also create a study on middle game tactics? Would love to go through with it. And just any tactic that actually works. Okay, yeah. So one of the tactics that actually works, there's a lot of them, okay? But we're going to get you started with pins. A pin is a tactic. And this tactic, a pin, is when you move a piece somewhere that attacks another piece. And that piece that you just attacked cannot move. If it moves, then that piece behind it is under attack. And it's always more valuable than the piece you just attacked. Otherwise, there wouldn't be any point in a pin. The piece could just move and what? Nothing. For example, I have just got chess base, and basically, I love this. It's basically like a new board, sort of. And let me show you exactly what a pin could look like. So let's go ahead and pull up the chess base. So as you can see, I got a new board. Here's an example of a pin: e4, e5, knight of 3, d6, d4, bishop g4. This is a pin on the queen. So basically, let's see, the queen cannot be safe if the knight moves. For example, if the knight moves here, then you can see the bishop is attacking the queen and it will probably get captured. So that would be a pin. Now, whether it's a good move here is beside the point. I'm just introducing the definition of a pin. Okay? So let's go ahead and look at actually some pins that are effective. Okay? And in this game, Bronstein was white. David Bronstein was one of the strongest players that never became a world champion. Probably because Fischer was there at the time, and Tal was there at the time, and Botvinnik was there at the time. So there was just such a strong group. It was like the group of death. You played any one of them and you couldn't win. So Bronstein was basically the fourth best at the time. This is how the game continued. Bronstein played an anonymous player, and the game continued e4, e5, d4. Actually, I say knight of 3 because that's what I always play, but he played d4. So his opponent takes a pawn on d4, queen takes d4. Bronstein brings out the queen early. It's kind of like a reverse Scandinavian. Knight c6, queen to a4. This is actually a reverse Scandinavian, which could be interesting to play as white. Knight to f6, knight to c3, defending the pawn and naturally as well, preparing a castle queenside. d5, staking control in the center. What will he do? Naturally, I would play pawn takes pawn here, but Bronstein plays bishop to g5, pinning the knight. As you can see, the queen is now technically under attack if the knight moves, so the knight cannot move, which is good. This is an attacking move. So let's see how the game continues now. D takes e4, and the center becomes sort of more open, even though Bronstein loses a pawn temporarily. So then knight takes e4, winning the pawn back and putting more pressure on the pinned piece. And white seems to have some pressure on that piece. If I had any no in the say, I would probably play bishop e7 in this position. Right, bishop e7 to break the pin. Let's see what he played. Queen to e7. Well, this certainly still keeps the queen pinned, and white could queenside castle. If the queen takes, that's the point of today's tactic. So after white castles, the queen did actually take it. Now, find the best move for white, and you should pause the video now. You can unpause the video now, and if you found the best move for white, you would have seen some things here. Basically, first of all, this rook could come here to d8 and give sort of an opera mate if this knight wasn't here, right? But that's the thing. This knight is pinned as well, so the king has to take it. But when the king takes it, the bishop is now pinning the knight to the king, and this is called an absolute pin, when the piece cannot move no matter what, because it would be illegal. For example, in the case with the queen, you could always move the knight and get your queen taken. It's allowed, it's a legal move. But in this case, the knight cannot move because the king will be in check. It's illegal. So that's the tactic, rook to d8. And basically this is forced. If you go here, you still take the queen, the knight's pinned, so he has to take that and you just take the queen. So that's today's tactic, the pin. And this is just such a brilliant move. And Bronstein basically ended the game in 10 moves. So that's what masters do, they end the games pretty fast. Now, I want to talk about another type of pin that we have here. So in this position, you have to identify the pin. And I'll give you some time to pause the video and try to think it out for yourself. Then you can unpause it, I'll give you some hints, then you can pause it again if you want to try again. So go ahead and pause the video. Okay, you can unpause the video now. If you need some hints, did you identify the pin in the position? Well, the strongest thing that you need to consider first of all is this bishop. It's attacking the king, but there are two pieces in the way. Technically, they're not pinned. One of the pieces can always move. But if it does, it removes cover from the king. So they are kind of pinned. You need to consider distracting one of the pieces and activating that bishop to its fullest extent. Alright, you can pause the video now if you want to try again. You can unpause the video now. In order to distract the knight, because it's the first step to cover, you need to play queen to e8. At first this looks boneheaded, because the knight just takes the queen. But that's the point, we distracted the knight and now this bishop is pinned. You've created a pin. And now it's time to take advantage. Rook to f8, checkmate. And that's the pin. So, that was amazing. And finally, we have a situation here. Viswanathan Anand was a world champion at a point before Magnus Carlsen took over. And even Anand is not invincible to pins. In this game, Anand played black against Zapata. Zapata at the time was about a little under 100 points less than him, so Anand was definitely stronger. The game continued e4, e5, Knight f3, knight f6, the Petrov defense. Knight takes e5, d6, knight to f3, knight takes e4, knight c3. And here the move would normally be to take the knight, but instead Anand plays a super blunder. And because of Anand, everyone knows that this is a super blunder. So thank you, Anand. Of course there's not a pin here, but can you create one? You can create pins as soon as basically this move, right? You can put, well, I don't want to say the answer much. How about give it a try. Try to pause the video now, or pause the video now and give it a try for yourself. And then I'll give you a hint. You can unpause the video now. Here's a hint. As soon as this move happens, you can move the queen to e2. The queen would pin the knight to the king. But then the queen can always go to e7. And in that way, unpin the knight. But in this situation, it's a little bit different. If you haven't figured it out yet, you can pause the video and try again. You can unpause the video now. So the thing is that it's true. The queen could move to e2 and create a pin. What if queen to e7 now? Well, this makes things a whole lot hairier in this situation. So the problem is that the difference is, first of all, is that in this position, when the queen goes here, there's no knight over here that can, you know, attack the queen. But in this situation, that actually can. And the queen has to deal with two threats. First of all, the queen cannot move out of the e file, or else d3 attacks the pinned knight. And thank you for the free knight. The second thing that could happen is the queen stays on the e file, and the only square for that would be this. But then you would get forked. So Anand resigned. And that was Anand's shortest loss in his lifetime. So I'm glad, and hopefully you enjoyed the video on pins. If you liked it, make sure to click the thumbs up button. And make sure to subscribe for more content like this. And I'll see you on the next one.